What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And man, listen, it's I was always good, man, to get some fresh blood on here, man, and different levels of college. And man, this young dude over here that's joining me today, he's been in the game for a minute, college baseball player, coached at different schools, man, and we're gonna learn about the school where he's coaching at right now. Basically on the Ivy League level, all right? Way out of my league when it comes to the academic side. But man, always love that Northeast flavor, man. And they're a little bit more south of where I'm from, but they are in that Philly love over there and that brotherhood over there. But I'm sorry I'm on late. Just things happen in life, man. I had different things jumping off, but my man was patient with me, and I appreciate him being patient with me. I appreciate you guys being patient with me as you guys join on here. So without further ado, man, I have Swathorne assistant coach Andre Butler joining me. All right, Coach Butler, what's good, baby? How you doing, man?
Good to be on here, man. Thanks for having me, D.
All right, man. This is I'm anxious to hear, man. Did a little bit of background on you, man, and play ball and I see some of the educational stuff that you do online with your company, man. Really know the game. Really, you can tell that the passion for coaching is there. Man, which is great. But like always, man, I like to hear the man behind these programs, man. So let's tell me a little about yourself, man. Where you from, playing career to where you are now, man.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, so I'm originally from North Philly. I grew up, obviously, so North Philly's inner city. Started playing ball because my brother played ball. So that's the only reason why I play baseball. I wasn't really good at it, to be quite honest. Like, I'm sure I wasn't as good as you were, D. But the interesting thing is, I went to high school, played because it was cool, right? Like, it was cool to be on a team, right? Girls like that, so be on a team, do something. So did that, and then was like, hey, I kind of like playing baseball more than the whole being on a team atmosphere and like the whole jock feel. Like, so I'm gonna have a chance playing college. The interesting thing is, like, I coach at Swathorne now, where it's super high academic. But when I was graduating high school, I didn't have the ability to get myself into a school that was even at an academic level. Because quite frankly, like, I didn't take school very serious. So I went to college, played at Eastern University, which is a small Christian school. And I think by the grace of God, like, I got there, but not only for like the baseball aspect of it, but mainly for like I'm more closer to God now than, not to go to church when you hear, but more than I ever have been in my life. But that didn't really hit me till my senior year in college. So I really used baseball as an avenue to like help a young kid from North Philly grow up to be a man. And I was fortunate right after college at Eastern University, where I handed chance to start coaching. Because again, I know what I wanted to do. Right. So my first coaching job, I was 22. It actually was at Swarthmore College.
Okay.
So I was finishing my undergrad at Eastern University, and then I would go like 30 minutes away or 20 minutes away and coach at Swarthmore. So I did that. I was like, hey, coaching's cool. 3 months later, I got a job as a volunteer assistant at University of Pennsylvania. So I'm like, wow, like, this is how the coaching game works. So I was there for 2 years, then went to DeSales University for a year, and then got a chance to be volunteer assistant at Penn State for 2 years. Got promoted at Penn State. Was co-recruiting coordinator, third base coach there for my remaining 2 years, and now I'm back in the area at Swarthmore College. So that's all like 9 years of just floating around the Pennsylvania area coaching ball. But I'm excited to be where I am now.
Good deal, man. Gosh, 9 years and still look like you're about 22, 23 to me, man. You know what I'm saying,
Appreciate
man?
it.
Yeah, man.
It's in the water. It's in the water.
It gotta be, man. That Philly love, that Philly brotherhood, treating you good out there, man. But man, that's a I mean, you've coached how many years now? 9 so far?
Yeah, I guess this would be considered year 9. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, 9.
wow, wow.
So
9 years in the game, and what you? How old now?
I'm 30.
Damn, all right.
Yeah,
30 years old, just turning 30 with 9 years already coaching experience in all levels, Division 3, Division 1, you know what I'm saying? So you've seen it all, man. That's and played. So
yeah.
um man, that this is congrats, man, for doing what you're doing, man. And have you, speaking upon that, playing career, jumping into division, different levels here and there. What has been some of the biggest differences that you see? Matter of fact, let me go back. Where is Swarthmore anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So Swarthmore is considered in Media, Pennsylvania. It's actually Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, but it's right next to Media, which is what most people might know it as. It's like I wouldn't call it a suburb because there's a lot going on. I think suburbs are kind of out in the woods, but it is kind of by the map considered a suburb of Philadelphia. So like we actually have like a train station right on campus where our student athletes can take the train right into downtown Philly. So it's a cool little setup. You're away from the city, not in it, but you're super close enough to get there and do whatever you want to do.
Nice, man. So, and what level is Swarthmore?
So Swarthmore is a Division III school, and that's definitely something I want to get into as well. Where it's like kids say, "Oh, like what division are you?" And it's like, man, like you might want to see how good we are first before kids start asking that. But yeah, we're a Division III school, but I always say we play at a Division I high level.
Really nice, man. And speaking of that, like you just said, Division III kind of gets this bad rap, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like all Division III schools, especially on the baseball side, is like it's all high academic caliber schools. Like I don't ever see like a random Division III school. Like pretty much every Division III school that I've had on here, the Bassers, you guys, you know what I'm saying, like are like high level academic, schools where it's like, yo, it's hard to get into these schools, man. But you guys play really competitive baseball. How do you guys, able to compete at a high level with the, restrictions and how do you get to compete is one question, and talk about the restriction when it comes to scholarships or lack thereof being Division III.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So that's something I wanted to bring up is because people say, well, Division I because they hear scholarships, but yet you still only get 11.7 scholarships on a Division I team. And I'm all about like financial budgeting. So like if you actually look at now, yes, Swarthmore does cost $65,000, $70,000. But if you look at how much money you're going to make coming out of that university, it's unreal versus okay, getting 30% off at a Division I school. No, not to any of that, but I'm just saying, to be able to come out making six figures at 22, 23 years old is pretty darn good.
Wow.
So that's a huge selling point for us. It's a big
Mm,
selling point.
mm,
I think the other thing to think about is like what our head coach Matt Midkiff, what he has. So our head coach actually coached me in college at Eastern. That's how I
okay.
ended up at Swarthmore.
Mm,
But one of the things that he's been able to instill in the whole program is, he didn't just want smart kids, and he didn't just want baseball kids. Because if you just get baseball kids, they're going to suck at school, and then he'll
mm,
get fired, right? And if you
mm-hmm.
just get smart kids, you're going to suck on the field. So he's done a great job of finding a way to get the actual student athlete. Like we always hear, like, well, what is a student? Like student athlete first, but it's to the point where and I was shell shocked coming from a Division I team where our guys were always on the field, and they didn't. Academics mattered, but like they had more time to do baseball stuff. But our guys are always getting early work. They're always there early. They're always there late. And I even had to say to them, like, "Hey guys, like, don't you have a test to study for? Don't you have something else to study for?" And they're like, "No, coach, it's done. We got it done." So they find a way to like manage their time to the best of their ability, and they
Mm,
love the game. So like that's one of our first questions with recruiting is, hey, tell me about yourself. Why are you a good ball player? Why are you a good academic player? Because that's the type of kid that we want. So that's how we have managed to compete, without scholarships. And I think that a lot of universities can. You just have to have a standard set and hold your players accountable to that because the players that come after them will just follow.
that's what's up, man. So, um, obviously that formula has been working. Talking about the six figures out of college and competing. So talk about the conference. Talk about the level of competition. You're saying you're playing a high level competition, man. So talk about the conference, some of the schools, and what makes that area that your school, where you're confident to say we play a big time, schedule and big time ball.
Yeah, so we play in the Centennial Conference, which people in the area are usually familiar with Johns Hopkins and Haverford College. your sinus, to name a few. Um, it's relatively local traveling, to be quite honest, especially in season, which helps when you're dealing with academic kids. One of the cool things that we do is for spring break, and this kind of brings you back to the COVID memories, because we go to Florida and we play some really good schools. Like we're playing good schools out of Ohio and good Division III programs, where we're going to get challenged. So I think strength of schedule, like you look at sports like college football, like they all care about the strength of schedule the most, right? To try to get in that top bowl game or something like that. But like it not only matters for ranking, but it just matters for like how your players deal with adversity. And we've been doing it long before we got here, playing against tough competition. It's nothing against teams in our area, and there are some good teams in our area, but one of the things we have ability to do when we're on spring break is control who we play, right? Like we can set that up a year or 2 years prior. Like we can say, hey, we're going to play them, and they're better than anybody in our area. And if there's no such thing as a moral victory, but I do think there's something as far as like putting your players through something difficult, so that late in the season, when we're in a battle against someone in our conference, our players have faced that adversity. And quite frankly, like, that's what's made our guys pretty tough. And unfortunately, the season got cut short, so I haven't been able to see the full part of it. Here's the interesting thing. So I've been at Swarthmore for 2 seasons. However, I've been at Swarthmore for 2 stints, right? However, I've only coached 10 games at Swarthmore, because the first time I got here, I was only here for the fall season, so we never played a game. I never coached a game because I got a job at University of Penn, right?
Oh wow.
So then I came back to Swarthmore 8 years later. We're on spring break, and then COVID happened. So I only got in like 8 to 10 games over 2 years. And on
Wow.
top of that, unfortunately, the 2021 season has already been canceled for us.
Really?
Yeah, so we're going on, I guess, 3 years. I guess I'm bad luck. I don't know.
Damn. Is it just because of the conference and travel and what do you
It was a
is that area? I mean, I
university.
know Jersey getting hit hard and everything, so Philly's getting hit hard with the COVID and stuff too. Where they already canceled it. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a university decision.
Mm,
So we'll be sitting on our hands seeing what happens. So
man,
yeah,
so it sucks, man. Being from the
that's a good
Northeast,
question.
do you guys go to Florida or Georgia? And which tournaments, if you do, are mainly where do you see your players?
Yeah. So being such a high academic school that we are, and trying to find that good player that matches the baseball mix of it, um, we do a lot of showcases and tournaments, where we're able to see players from across the country. To be quite honest with you, only oof, only a couple of our players actually come from like Pennsylvania.
Mm,
Like we've got kids from California, we've got kids from New York, Princeton, New Jersey area. So we'll do a lot of events. We'll do play to win events. Perfect game events are always great. Local events are always good too, where kids are traveling here. But
mm.
we will get on a flight as well and go out to California, like show ball. I know that's a big one that kids go to, and they have that academic specific camp. Um, so we're everywhere that academic kids are, but then too we're everywhere that you know good academic kids are as well. So
Man, I love it, man. The speaking of, well, there's a couple more. Let me get these questions in before I start, and I'll remember my question. Do you play any D1 during the season?
that's something that I actually was talking to our head coach about like 2 weeks ago. Actually, one of the things a lot of division we don't play any Division 1s during the season, but one of the things that a lot of D3 programs do, and you're starting to see them do more, is they will play a Division 1 team in the fall. It's been something that we've kind of tinkered with a little bit. Nothing that we've done in the past, but I do think it's something that can be cool for our players. And to be quite honest, like I did it once when I was at the Sales University. We played um, Lehigh University, and it was. I mean, I just think it's good because players should be like a Division 3 player should be able to step on the field and say like, "Yo, this is baseball." You know what I mean? Like it's nothing to it. Like just because maybe y'all got nicer jerseys or a nicer facility, which in Swarthmore case, our facility is phenomenal. So that's not we got better facilities than some Division I schools. So, you
Nice.
know, I just think players should be able to step on there and like check themselves and be like, hey, like it's me versus the ball. Like it don't matter if it's 90 or if it's 80 plus. So
What about the talk about the facilities, man? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Let me, you know.
yeah. So Clothier Field is where we play, and it's neat. So one of the things I think in the midst of recruiting, when anyone recruits, right, it's kind of looking for a house, right? Like when I bought my house where I live at, like, you check around the area, right? You want to see what else is in the development. Like, and if you got a couple rundown houses, you're probably not going to want to move in there. So when
Mm,
you look at your athletic facilities, just the baseball facility, and you look at the soccer field, lacrosse field, and the basketball gym, you see that there's some like a universal feel of like everything always, on the up and coming. Like there's always some construction going on. There's always some money flowing in, right? So
mm,
we actually had a chance to get our entire outfield done. Like it looks uh, like the Arizona Diamondbacks outfield, right? Like it looks legit.
mm.
There's actually a dorm that sits behind our center field with like a little terrace area where kids can kind of hang out and watch the
Nice,
game.
nice.
So it's kind of a feel where you think you would only see it somewhere in the South.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
but I think when you step on a campus and you see the baseball field, like say if you're a basketball kid, you see the baseball field, you're like, well, I can play basketball here, and vice versa.
Right,
Because
right.
very rare do you see it only one program getting taken care of, especially for Division III. So
Mm,
we're very fortunate.
mm. All right. Russ says, who's out in Jersey, says he need coaches info. So how do we reach you?
Yeah. So my info, I'll give you my personal baseball info. We can get into that later. So it's actually uh, graveyardmentality@gmail.com. I can kind of run you down what that is, and you can go on my website, graveyardmentality.com.
Okay.
That's where I filter in a lot of my baseball contact info.
Mm-hmm.
But that would probably be the best place to reach me right now.
All right. I'll leave that up there. All right. So the so you guys are recruiting all over, man. So what's the GPA? You know, you're saying your high level academics. So what's the requirements that it takes to get there, man? All right.
Yeah, so like we mentioned about the Division III of the Ivy League, so anywhere in that ACT range as well too, of 31 to 34, or even SAT starting at a 1380. And I do say that like it depends on who you are. Um, if anyone on there doesn't understand like how the recruiting stuff works, financial aid does play a big part for folks who do need it. So like let's be real. Like if there's a player of color, which we have three black kids on the team. Actually, one just graduated, so two black kids on the team. And maybe another kid who come and we're trying to diversify the university at a small school that plays a major role,
Mm,
of any ethnicity. Same thing if it's a kid of any color, right? But his family is really struggling, but he's a very bright kid. That's going to play another role too.
mm,
One of our assistant coaches is actually an admissions counselor, so he's able to give us the information, not just get any kid in that we can, but he's able to give us information to for us to do our best job and see how we can get kids in. I always tell kids this, like, I'm a baseball coach. I'm not an admissions counselor, and I don't want to be an admissions counselor. But like my job is like to recruit the players that match in with those numbers and match into what we're trying to do as a program. And then
mm,
we'll turn it over to them, and then we'll let them give us the bad news or give us the good news. But we never know until we turn those numbers in, turn out the full GPAs in. It's always helpful, and this is kind of for any academic school, for kids to be taking AP courses, right? The
mm,
more you take, the better. And then
mm,
also too, if your school is in your area nationally ranked, right? So say if you in particular are a number 5 kid in your school, but you don't go to a very well known academic school, it's not going to hold the same weight as someone else who's the 15th ranked kid, but he goes to
Mm,
a really good academic school.
mm,
So that plays a major role in this. You can see there's so many different bits and pieces that we just gather the information, say, okay, he's meeting like 8 out of 10 on the requirements. Let's see if we can get this thing through. And then go from there. But surprisingly, there's a lot of kids to pick from in the entire country, just for us. So it does become difficult.
all right. Eric McDuffie says, I am from Chester and very familiar with Swathmore, and now live in Miami. Are academic scholarships plentiful?
Academic scholarships. So yes, we do have academic scholarships. That's one of the things I love about Division III schools, is that they will reward high school kids for doing well academically. Um, Here's the thing, and this is why I talk about, like, I'm big on financial budgeting, right? So I've been at Division I schools where we could not give them academic money. We could only give them a piece of the 11.7 scholarship, which I think is completely backwards. Um,
Mm,
to be able
mm,
to tell a kid, hey, do well in school, but then say, well, if you're coming in as a baseball player, we can't help you out with that academic money. You have to apply to school on your own.
mm.
So yeah, at Swarthmore, we can do that. We do reward, those students and that helps out a lot with the cost. Like, you're talking $70,000, like, it helps out a ton.
All right. Um, he says, remind us who the school president is.
The school president, I'm drawing a blank. Sorry, I've only been there for like 4 months, so
He
I
says
apologize for that one.
son has a 3.6, 13.10 SAT. So, all right.
Okay, cool.
All right. Hopefully your son can play. All right. That's what, and then that's now he's the full package. Is
Right,
there
right.
is there a difference in roster size um at D1 to D3 level?
So, for the roster size, obviously Division I, you're allowed to have 35 players. Division III, it's actually based off of what you can. We have 38. We don't want to carry more than that. Do understand that Division III, sometimes some schools are like need based. So what you actually see some Division III schools they're doing is a JV program, right? You have a JV program, you bring in more players. So you got 35 players on your varsity team, and then you have another 30 players on your JV team. Who's happy about that? Admissions, right?
Right. Right.
At Swarthmore, that's not something that we would do. Um, Again, that becomes a whole nother situation, and even more on recruiting, which recruiting here is already difficult. So yeah, that kind of answers that question.
Okay. The so it sound I mean 70,000. That's on it is what it is. All them northeast schools are high level academic. You're gonna get that price tag on there, but you saying you're getting kids from all over the country to come there, which is awesome, man. Let me ask this. Yamina asks, how many guys do you have per position out of that
Yeah.
38?
So with the depth chart, me personally, I always like to have a lot of pitchers. One of the things, and I'll kind of get into this too. So our we probably carry, or like to carry, at least 17 arms. We've got some guys who play third base, like one of our players, Austin Burgess, who's a third baseman. He ended up playing in the outfield later in the season. He probably will when we play again. So there's a lot of versatility in our lineup, which I think is good. That's why I think players should play multiple positions right now. Um, so we carry a ton of two-way guys, and one of the things we do with our pitching staff and how we staff it is, like, we're big on like matchups, right? Like we'll also do, we'll have a starter and he'll go the first 3 innings, and then we'll bring in someone else and he'll go the next two, and we'll bring in someone else and he'll go the next two. The reason being is, I'll kind of give out the teams know we do this, but like when hitters see your pitcher more than once, they
Mhm,
eventually figure it out. And it's not to say
mhm,
that our guys don't have good stuff, but why would
mhm.
you ever even want to put them in that position,
Right.
right? So we actually train our arms to be able to bounce back pretty darn quick too. because talking, I said 17 arms, maybe 18 arms, like you better have some guys that can bounce back. The beauty of it, like I don't think you can do this at Division I school because of how many games you play, right? You're playing 50 plus games and then postseason. But we might play Saturday, Sunday, off Monday, and then play again on Wednesday. We might have 4 games a week, which to me that's not a lot, right? Like it's not a lot. So that's how we do it with our pitching staff, and it's my first time experiencing it for at least the 10 games we had. So I like it. I love it. I think as a hitting coach, a hitting guy, I think it's phenomenal because kids can't figure it out.
Let me ask you this. So, on that pitching side, you playing at Penn State at the Division I, I'm sorry, coaching at the Division I, and, coaching now at Division III. When it comes to pitching, or just in general, the ball being played, is it kind of like, I know it sounds kind of corny saying that, but it's like a travel ball between like a different levels of travel ball where, 1 through 7 is solid on a high level team, where 1 through 4 is solid on a lesser level. Same thing on the pitching side. Your depth may be your top 3 or 4 starters are high level, where in Division III you may have just 2. You know what I'm saying? Your bullpen, is you don't have that length in the bullpen like a Division I. Is that kind of like the difference of ball being played between Division III and Division I?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to how you recruit. But I do think you'll see it more times than not where Division III, like, hey, this is their ace, and then everybody behind him might not be as good. Which is why, like, I think we're at a point where like we can rely on multiple guys at whether they're freshman, sophomore, or junior, senior, which is good to do. Because I truly do believe like you can lose one ball game to a team and be okay with that. Like, hey, this is your ace, okay. Especially if you're talking about playing in the postseason, right? Like you're going to need pitching to get to the postseason. Like actually, 2018, we went to the College World Series, which is something that a lot of people don't know. Like, you guys are smart, and you went to the College World Series, and it's interesting. Like I wasn't on the staff then, but I've always rooted for the program because the head coach I'm very close with.
Right.
So one of the things I noticed about, every single video clip I saw, every single like action shot I saw, is like the players have so much fun. Like it's unreal. And I think if you look at like MLB postseason, I think if you go back to October and look at like how much fun, right? Like the Dodgers and the Rays had, like how much fun you see, like an energy in the dugouts, like not just random rah-rah, like eyewash stuff. I mean like actual legit passion for the game. And so I saw that on the outside looking in. And that's just the type of guys that you want to be around if you're in a dugout anywhere. So it's pretty cool.
What's the style of play? You know what I'm saying? A Swathorne. What are you guys like known for? You know what I'm saying? Is it, just kind of like see what type of team you bring in and then kind of develop as that, or you kind of specifically recruit? And I know you kind of just get in there and everything, but you got a sense, you've seen enough and then you kind of practice what type of team you have,
Yeah, so we run a lot, which is what I love. I'm a very aggressive individual. I'm a very aggressive baseball coach. So we run a ton of hitting and running, which again, it's okay for me to give this out because it's like, all right, you got to stop it. Be good enough. I'll explain the style of how we pitch it. We're not. It's interesting. So in Division III, and especially in the Centennial Conference, like you'll see ball games where it's like 14-11, right? Like where you just you out hit because of the pitching, the lack of pitching. I will say, and this is no knock to any of our opponents, but I think this is just coming from like me studying the game on my own time and being at some other levels, but mainly studying the game. Like I don't think that there's enough good pitching in there to get not only our guys out, but other guys too, like other teammates, other opponents. I just think that, like you said, I think the pitching does take a hit. I'm not saying on our staff, but the pitching does take a hit. And like I coach first base, like I requested that. Like I just want to coach first base, figure out how I can steal signs, find a way for me to get smarter so I can make my players smarter. And I'll stand there and I'm like, how are we not getting this guy out because he's tipping his pitches? or how we're not getting this guy out because every time on the 0-2, I'm not 0-2, but 1-1 count, he's going to his curveball. You know, and I think it's not really that players don't have the abilities. I think it's that sometimes it just becomes too repetitive. So some of it can be coaching, some of it can be players and what the coaches demand of the players. So that's why, like, as recruits out there, like, you got to ask coaches the tough questions. Like, I always say, like, ask coach, how will you develop me? Like, that's an easy question, right? Like, specifically, how will you develop me and my talent in the game?
Okay, I got you. You're good. You're good now.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, phone call came in. I got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. Let me see. We got some more. Do any of your arms touch 90 or more crafty location types?
Yeah, so the touch 90. We do have two players that can touch 90, and I will preface that by saying, like, touch 90 with command, right? Otherwise it doesn't count.
I agree. I agree.
And then there's some guys that are, a crafty lefty that, can just get guys out. And then we got some guys that are throwing, topping at 83, 84. Now, is he going to pitch 7 innings? No. But is he going to be one of the guys that come in after 90? Heck yeah, because that's how you get a team off balance. So that's why I think, like in the midst of this, like, there actually is a place for everyone. Right? There actually is a place for every single pitcher, regardless of what your velocity is. Because if you can command a baseball and have, at least a 2-pitch mix while trying to develop a third one, maybe, like, I think you can play. Maybe not as high of a level as you want to, but I think you can play at a school if they have that type of arsenal in their pitching staff where, hey, you can pitch an inning and throw to 3 hitters and get them out. Trust me, most hitters will get themselves out, as we know. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's just kind of not every level, but some of the guys I see, like, I tell some of the arms on our team, I'm like, hey, just throw the ball in the middle. Like, this guy's pulling out his shoulder every time. Just throw it down the middle. So I try to make the game easier, and especially dealing with academic kids, it helps them apply the knowledge a little bit more smoothly as well. So
Let me see here. We got Alice said, what made you leave Penn State?
Oh, good question. So I left Penn State. It was weird. So Division I recruiting and coaching, like, it, even though I'm young, like, it does take a lot out of you. At the time, I was engaged to which is now my wife. She had actually moved to Penn State for me. And if you don't know the geography of Penn State, it's actually 3 hours from Philadelphia. So she had an opportunity. She was actually in graduate school at Wharton, which is University of Penn. So she was there, and I was up at Penn State. So it was tough. We had a house at Penn State, an apartment in Philly. There was a lot of 4 a.m. traveling.
Right.
And I kind of didn't want that for my family. It was one of those things where, like, hey, the grass isn't always greener, because you got to make sure everything's at home is taken care of first. And I said this to my wife. I said, hey, no matter where you go, baseball's 90 feet. Like, it don't matter. High school ball, Division I, Phillies, it's still 90. It's still 90 feet, 60 feet, 6 inches. So always know that too. Like all of us on this call, like, we're going to want to be in a game for a very long time. We got to make sure everything's taken care of at home first, so you can keep coaching forever.
Hey, that's true. What were you over there with my boy Josh Newman? Was he over there when you were over there, or did you miss him?
Yeah. So me and Newman, so me and Josh spent 2 years together. And it was great. And that's when you asked me the first question about pitching. I meant to bring him up. So, like, one of the things I did as an offensive guy, and I think everybody should do this, even players, is get next to the pitching coach. Figure out what he's trying to do to get hitters out. And Josh was one of the first pitching coaches that I've been around where, like, he was so willing to, like, give as much knowledge as possible and just wanted to help everybody out. So I love that dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah, good dude, man. Could pitch his butt off too, man. He used to Me and him had some battles, man, on that field.
Mm-hmm.
Man. He's a good dude, man. So Josh Newman is the pitching coach at State, who we're talking about. So, and a former guest on there. He's been on here. Russ said Andre is a great guy. Met him while he was coaching at Penn State, and they were playing Duke. Got team to sign balls for the kids, and did the same when he came to Rutgers. All right, good dude over here.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Ellis says, "How do you feel with the pitcher that can throw from both sides, right-handed and left-handed? And I have one that throws 84."
I think you should probably hit me up. That sounds great, especially
Yeah,
if he can throw
I
you out
gotta
there
see that one,
right-handed
Ellis. I
one
gotta see
day
that
and a left.
one. I gotta see that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
I
then we
see
can go
both sides.
left-handed.
Yeah, yeah. That's we were just, I was who was I talking about? We were talking about a kid. I don't think it was on the show. It was somebody we were just ran a coach or a parent. I can't remember. We were talking about a pitcher that threw both ways, and um, you know. But anyway, Ellis says will do. All right. The So speaking,
Yeah,
so do you want them to send it to that? So anybody that's interested, I actually got a kid. I want to send you some information, a picture. Um,
I'm sorry. What was that?
I said I actually got a kid that I want to send you a picture. I
Hold
don't
on,
know.
I can't hear you right now.
Okay. Can you guys
Hold
hear
on.
me here? Can you guys hear me on my side?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Uh, can you guys? Is it me or can you guys hear? I know I can hear you. Can you guys hear
I
me?
can't hear you.
All right.
Let me try. Let me try to do this again.
Okay. Because they can hear me. They say they can hear me because I can hear you too. Well, all right. We'll get them back on here. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I think everybody could hear him, and I know I could, and it sounds like you guys can hear me. So we'll get him back on. But it's cool, man. I like seeing young dudes out here getting it. Good coach, very passionate what he's doing. Um, Division 3, big time, and man, super aggressive. Let's see him get him back on here.
I'm back.
Can you hear me?
I got you now.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah, he can send that to the graveyard mentality at Gmail.
All right, cool. All right, everybody saying they can hear us. All right. Cool, man. All right, he's so Alice, I will post that email again.
And the reason why I actually do that, just to give a little background on that, so um, is with coaching, like sometimes you just kind of go from place to place. While I don't have any intentions on leaving Swarthmore at all,
Hmm.
um, but I'll always have that email. And you kind of lose some context in between, position changes and stuff like that. So a lot of times I want to make sure I can connect with these individuals who are taking the time to be on this and gain some knowledge. So
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt, man. I mean, so listen, being at 29, 20, 30 now,
30, yeah.
that Swathorne, and I don't mind, I don't want to put you on the spot like that, but I love to hear, what I'm saying, what's your end goal with this, man? What's your dream job, man?
Yeah, so I used to actually answer that question with like an actual job. And since then, and since being in the game, I've kind of, yeah, I'm a big be where your feet are type of person. I do believe that there's someone out there who is thinking about hiring me for their next position that opens up. Um, and that's the way it should be when, it shows that you got some skin in the game and that you're actually good at what you do. But I do know that, when you try to think about, all right, well, the next job, or the next pay, like, time goes a lot slower. So honestly, I really don't know. And I always say this: as long I want to coach for a program, I'd love to be a head coach. I think that'd probably be the best concrete answer I can give you. But I
Hmm.
don't want to just be a head coach at any program. Um, like you can offer me, a six-figure job, but if you're not going to give me any help in the program, and we need major facility upgrades, and I'm not talking like a whole stadium, but like we got rocks in the dirt like I had in North Philly. Like if you're going to give me that, it's only going to be but so long I can keep players coming in here. So it's things like that. Like I want to coach for a program who just shows some recognition and cares about baseball. So that is a major goal of mine. Um, that's probably all I can give in. We'll see where else God takes me, but I'm just enjoying the journey right now.
I love it, man. Born and raised Philly, been haven't coached outside of Pennsylvania yet, huh? Haven't.
Yeah, so that didn't happen on purpose. It just was kind of one of those things where a lot of my connections when I was younger at the time, a younger coach, so I'm still young, but were in Pennsylvania.
Mm,
So that's kind of how that came about. Like I had always worked Penn State camps, um, so they had already seen me work. When I was at DeSales, I was working camps for Penn State, so that's kind of how I was able to get that job. And then just my connections here, and now I have connections almost everywhere now. So that's kind of the cool thing too.
all right. Like Mark says, that's what this is about, man. And if I could be of any assistance, I don't know. You probably have well more. Well, I'm getting there with connections, but you've been playing in this college space, man, and for a while, man. 9 years at 30 years old, man. You knocking on the door, man. All right,
Yeah.
Lindell. All right, no doubt. Holla at me, man. So you're an outfielder by trade, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, and when you're at coaching title at Swathorne Swarthmore is hitting coach or defense or the combination of both.
Yeah, so it's a combination of both. Technically, my role is the director of player development. I kind of gave myself that title. It's interesting. I didn't want to really, I'm not the offensive, like I don't call the plays and signs and all that stuff like that for our team. And I kind of really wanted to take a step back and do and evaluate everything. And I
Mm,
think because our head coach and myself like have a really good relationship, like he really wanted me to just kind of take a look at the program and say, hey, what can we do better? Right? Like
mm,
with your knowledge, what can we do better on the pitching side, on the defensive side, on the offensive side? Now, yes, outfield is something that I've been known to be really good at. So from a coaching level, so um, I do coach the outfielder specifically at Swarthmore. But when it comes to like base running and stuff, like really, I like just being in the dugout when we're on defense and like talking to the players, not playing.
mm,
If you can, right? Like one of my favorite coaches is Nick Saban, right? So Nick Saban, I was watching the NFL game last week, and one of the announcers said, he said, I would take the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth string running back at Alabama every year, right? And we can say that that's probably true because he
mm,
finds a way to develop them,
mm,
And I think so many times as coaches, like you got guys on your bench, and nobody's showing them love. You know what I mean? But like, do you want to win a championship one year, or do you want to win a championship the next 4 years? And I
mm.
think I think that's where you can develop, especially at college level, because it's hard because dudes graduate, right?
Right.
So like, it's hard. Even Division 1, like guys get drafted or guys just leave, right? Like, so
Mm,
you have to find a way to develop. So that's what I love doing is like developing the entire team because one day when someone does sit me down for an interview and they say, "Hey, we want you to be our head coach," I want to say, "Oh, I've had experience developing an entire team." So
mm. So you know, based off of that, being high academic and do you also go through this, with the new, it sounds, I mean, I guess it's always been happening, but it just seems like it's more so easier now, the whole transfer portals and, do you deal with the high turnover rates at your school or what?
So we don't. Luckily, we don't. It's not fun, but we don't. One thing we do deal in is something that's been new, and especially since COVID happened, is like we've got some players that are, you know, because our seniors missed out on their last year,
Mm-hmm.
they're now going to play at Division 1 schools, for their to complete graduate school.
Mm,
So we got guys at George Washington. Like we got guys at Division 1 schools that are
mm,
like, hey, like you were a Swarthmore, now you're playing Division 1. We got a
Nice.
guy at Richmond. So I think it's a really good setup, and it also just proves the point that like the guys actually can play.
Mm,
And now they're going to graduate with a Swarthmore degree and another degree from another great institution and still play
wow.
ball.
Wow. Wow. I mean, so I guess it's a positive on that side. So when it comes to the recruiting side, is it, I know you say you got 38 guys on your roster right now. Is it one of those things that you were done, with the 2021s, or is it still open? How does that work? You know what I'm saying? And then you're already canceled for the spring. So, I mean, are you going to be backlogged for 2 years, or how is it going to work, man?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what admissions kind of does because now like your players have to have GPAs, right? I'm not GPAs. They got to have the SAT scores, right? And like I work with some kids privately, and they're trying to find schools, and they have that chance to take their SATs. So it's like, well, you need that to decide if a kid gets into school or not. So I'm interested to see if we're going to make any changes. I don't think we'll ever have like a rolling admissions type thing, but maybe there's some more later decisions. Um, so so the biggest thing for us is we just try to find a way to say, all right, like right now, like what can we control? So a lot of the players, like a lot of our guys right now are gonna. There's two kids are gonna come back for their final year, which again, $70,000. Like, hey, it is if you got it, cool. But I darn sure didn't.
All right.
So that's something that a lot of kids are gonna have to go through. But no, we're not technically done with 21s. We still have at least two spots left. And then starting to look at 2022s. Um, and I always tell kids this because some coaches will respond with, they'll say, "Hey, are you guys still looking at 2021s, 2022s?" And or coaches say, "Hey, we're not on 22s yet, right? So don't talk to me," pretty much. And it's like, well, wait, aren't you going to be coaching in 2022? Don't you at least want to have the conversation with the kid so that
Right.
when it is time to commit, I don't have to go head to head with the school in our conference because I've
Right.
already developed that relationship.
Mm,
Like that, like that's recruiting because like I can have a list of kids for every year,
mm,
2023s, 24s, so and then hey, this group went to this school, okay, cool, we can get rid of this kid and then start focusing on that kid. But I think it's okay to talk to coaches. Like, don't be like a freshman talking to me every day, about Swarthmore. But if you're a sophomore, you want to have a conversation, I think it's totally fine. So
mm. Let me ask you this. So, speaking of that in relationship building, I was on the phone with a parent earlier today, and she was saying how, certain schools were like cultivating relationships when it comes to the recruiting side, meaning continuous phone calls, where other schools who, just kind of like pop up, offer a scholarship, which is great, but the kid didn't have, the that connection with the coach. How important is it on, you being on that recruiting side is to get that rapport with that kid? You know what I'm saying? Instead of, is it important or is it not?
it's extremely important, and I've done it both ways. Where because sometimes I've been late to the party, so I've
Mm,
had to, try to offer a kid something and has only seen him play once, and that was the day I offered him. And honestly, it was like throwing up a Hail Mary on a basketball court. I'm like, hey,
mm,
if you say yes, man, we really got past that one.
mm,
But I kind of expected like, hey, the kid's gonna say, give me some time to think about it. But I think the like recruiting is all about building relationships. That is all it's about. Like some of the players I've been able to recruit while I've been a coach, like during the recruiting process, I could always go back to staff like, yeah, he's going to commit any day now, any second, just because I've gotten a feeling from not only the kid but from the parents as well too, um, where whether it's text messages or phone calls at this point because of social media, it's like following each other on Instagram, like any kid that I'm interested in, especially since I'm young too, like I'm on Instagram, like I'm following them
mm,
on Instagram, because social media now, it's not like the days of MySpace where it's like, oh, I don't want to see that. Like it's different now. So I want to
mm,
know everything about the kid before I say, hey, yeah, he's coming to Swarthmore College for the next 4 years.
mm,
Same thing on Twitter. Like I do all of my homework to figure out who the kid is. Um, and honestly, if I don't feel that it's right, like whether the kid's shy or outgoing, like if I don't feel that we have some sort of connection, then still it's going to be hard for me to offer that roster spot. Um, because the last thing you want is a player to come to your program and it just doesn't work out. Because then you got to transfer, and then it's a whole another big deal there. So
Right. My guy Mike says everyone come to California, no SAT, ACT required.
it's
I,
nice,
I
must be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it, I hear that. Maybe I don't know. Let me talk to Mike first. I need to make sure because, everybody's like, tells me, and it ain't just California. It's different states. Oh, they're not requiring SAT for 2021s. But then I talked to admissions, a lady who's been on here. And it's like, um, don't get, don't fall into that trap because certain schools will still want. It sounds like your school is one. You know what I'm saying? That's still
Correct. And a lot of schools, especially since I've been coaching, like when I first started coaching, it was like SAT you need or ACT, right? Where like Swathorne does look at the big picture for sure. Um, like those numbers are still, and GPA is like, we're at least going to want to make sure you got a 4.0 GPA, right? Like, but it's not a California thing like that right now. So
right, right. What So for most schools, what I'm saying, outside of high level, what's like the minimum scores that you know of, like say at a Penn State?
it was different. Here's a fun fact. I never asked. I coached at Penn State for 4 years. I never asked one time what a kid's grades were. Not
Really?
once. Not once. And I recruited. I was co-recruiting coordinator. Me and Coach Newman were the recruiting coordinators. I never
Hmm.
asked what are your grades. Different. It's different levels. Now the difference of you have to understand is we can get a certain amount of what they would call is a change of assignment, which means that the kid did not get into the school on his own. So
Hmm.
we were able to get a certain amount of that per year,
Oh
right?
wow.
So
Oh,
you get like seven a year. You're gonna have a recruiting class of 11 guys. Come on, that
right,
that works out, right?
right.
Same thing as Swarth, a little different as Swarthmore, but a little but similar is we get what we call support, right? So we can give certain kids support. So if D, like you're the best outfielder in our class, and like you're struggling a little bit with the grades, it's like, all right, like do we want to put that support on you or the next kid? So we can do that as well too with Swarthmore. That's what makes it fun with
Mm,
recruiting here.
okay.
But you get to see like, and it's not to say that grades don't matter. It's just
Right.
that was the situation then. There was one kid that had a really, really tough issue getting into the school, and he ended up transferring because of grades. That was at Penn State, not Swarthmore.
Okay. But let me ask you this: so, being at Swathorne, what kind of academic support do you guys provide for your players?
Academic support as far as like academic
Mm.
advisors,
Yeah, advisors,
or
support,
okay.
study hall,
So
stuff like you know what I'm saying.
yeah, so
Hmm.
our players have academic advisors. Like they'll have their own academic advisor as they come in through the school, and admissions and everything will give them that type of support that they need. One of the greatest things about being a smaller school is like you cannot get missed, right? Like they know when you're in class, they know when this assignment's supposed to be in. Um, so all the support is there for you. Like before you actually fail out of school, someone will probably email you and set up a meeting 5 grades before that actually happens.
Mm,
So that is a nice thing because you do have to realize like you got 18 to 22-year-olds in college on their own for the first time at a very, difficult university. One of the things that our players, and this is a question that I actually asked our players last year, I said, how do you guys do what you do, right? School, baseball, everything. And they're like, look, like when we get new players, we get new freshmen, like we want to make sure that they're together and they understand like, here's how we did it when we were freshmen. And here's how we made it to become seniors. Here are their
mm,
classes to take for this year, and here are the
mm,
classes to not take for this year because it's a very difficult course. Same
mm.
thing. Here are the professors to take. So like our players have done a good job like giving that information back. I've never taken a class at Swarthmore, nor has any of our coaching staff. So we don't know the classes not to take.
Mm,
So we
mm.
have a really, really good, strong leadership program where our guys have put a lot into that and to help the younger players.
All right. Mike and Callie says, how important are NCSA and other online marketing tools in this COVID world? Are these types of service beneficial? Do you look at sites like these to recruit? If so, what percentage of your recruits started there on a recruiting site?
Yeah. So I think every coach is different. First, let's understand that. Me personally, I don't look at NCSA to figure out who's who because I understand it's like a matching game. Like this player's matched to this guy, but and what I explained earlier, how does NCSA know that we like to run, we like to hit and run, and we like to out hit our opponent? Like they don't. You can only match up a player with a program if you've actually coached at that program, right? Or at least talk to me, have the conversation, right?
Mm,
So I
mm,
do understand that it gives some sort of value in getting kids' names out there to put on a website. But here's where I take it this step further. And again, maybe this is just my young mind itself, but I can go on Instagram for free and Twitter for free and recruit a player that says Andre Butler, class of 2021 outfielder. And he can put up all his videos. And matter of fact, he can DM me as the coach. So it's nothing against, and actually, I'll probably respond to it a lot quicker than in an email, right? Because
mm.
we're all just sitting there scrolling with our thumbs. So it's
Right.
nothing against these recruiting tools. It's nothing against them at all. I think that there's a lot out there that provide a lot of great value, such as this that I'm on now. Like does NCSA, do they give you live information and feedback and conversations with coaches? If it doesn't, then I don't know why I need it.
That,
But if
that,
I'm
that-
right, but if I'm able to talk to a coach, ask a coach, get his contact, and ask specific questions at live time, that's different. You cannot beat that at all. So I think a lot of times, and I understand as parents on why they do that. It's okay because you want the best for your son. No big deal. But I think start looking at the value of things, and when you can see that that value adds up to like something that's authentic, then you can say, all right, well, hey, you know what? That's worth it. That's definitely worth
I ain't pay him to say that, but he damn right. All right, you know what
it.
I'm saying? Sure, Mike know that though. That's my dude. Good question. Let's go, man. And thank you for that. Let's go here. Being from Philly, are you going to try to get Philly Metro kids?
Yeah, so we try to get any kids, to be honest. I do want, and selfishly, I guess this isn't just selfishly, probably isn't the word to say there, but I do want our program to be diverse. Um, so diverse in how we look, diverse in where we come from, diverse in the type of music that we listen to. Because at the end of the day, that's what college actually is about.
Hmm.
Um, so we're going to try to get any kids. Unfortunately, they're only going to allow us to get in as many as they will. But um, there's a player who actually came from. He's from a town which is called Norristown, which is outside of Philly, but it's very close to Philly. Black kid, he just graduated, super smart kid. And honestly, when I met him, I said, "You from Norristown and you go to Swarthmore?" I'm like, "What? Like that's unheard of." But it just
Mm.
goes to show like the university is, and he's going to school with kids from California and Miami and stuff like that. Like just goes to show like that the school actually does love diversity. So
I'm let's go here. Jemiah asked, what are some of the challenges recruiting out of state players?
um, I guess it's really, I wouldn't even say it's more of a challenge. I haven't had really many challenges recruiting out of state players. Um, I guess maybe you'll get that one kid that's like he gets homesick, or he doesn't want to go away from home. But honestly, I have never really gotten that from any of the players that I've recruited or talked to. I guess because they realize like what's on the other end of it, like a school like Swarthmore, a good baseball program, a nice baseball field. Um, I guess I would say if you really want to talk about any challenges that would happen when recruiting those out of state players are it's like now you're going into another territory and you got to be good enough to take them out of that area, right? So like let's say Maryland, right? Like Johns Hopkins is in our conference and they're in Maryland, right? So like you got to know like that you're good enough like in recruiting and in performance to say, hey, like you can come to Swarthmore, right? Like, and that's like, and I'm pretty tight with some of the coaching staff at Johns Hopkins, but like that's what coaching is, right? Like you got to be able to go on those head-to-head recruiting battles without negative recruiting. Let me make sure I say that. But
Mm-hmm.
you got to be able to go to those head-to-head recruiting battles and say, hey, like Swarthmore's the place for you, and I can tell you why without even mentioning another school and what they do or don't do.
Mm.
You know, one of the things I learned in this game is like the guys, if you talk to a coach and they start talking about another school and what they can or can't do, you probably shouldn't go there, right?
Mm.
Because they're not
Mm.
talking about actually like what they're going to do for you, how they're
All
going to
right.
make you better, you
All right.
know. So
I love that, man. I love that. Don't be talking dirt on nobody else, man.
right,
My boy TZ D Brown Base. So I told you, D, if you learn from a certain book, you keep reading. The more, all right, I got you, my guy. That's right. All right. Um, Listen, Dre, if you could, man, talk a little bit about your mentality thing. Let me show you a little love on that, man. So show me what you gave your mentality and what's that all about. Before we end up, chopping off over here, man. So talk about that side of your business or coaching side.
yeah. So graveyard mentality is actually something I started for my outfielders when I was coaching at Penn State, just because guys are kind of going through the motions, and I was like, oh, like you always hear like outfield being the forgotten position, right? So I was kind of like, we need something, but like not anything to just throw on the wall. Like, gotta be something that sticks, right?
Mm,
So I guess 3 years ago I came up with graveyard mentality, which is a place where the hopes of base hits are laid to rest. I came out with it. We were rolling with it, and it actually wasn't something that I was like going to make a big deal out of until I started realizing like coaches wanted to learn more about how I coach the outfield. So what the mentality is, it's like we need the mentality piece with some drills and technique to like form a complete outfielder. You can't just have one without the other, and it's stuck. And it's gotten to a point where it's kind of turned into its own business. It's trademarked and everything. And I got have networked with guys like Gary Sheffield, Jackie Bradley Jr., Curtis Granderson, Shannon Stewart.
my voice,
Yeah. So like a bunch of great guys in the game, guys currently playing in the minors, college guys. So it's been something where it's like, hey, like we can talk about outfield like we talk about catching, or like pitching, or like being a
Mm,
shortstop. So that's kind of why I did it, and I'm excited where it's going, just because it's like forget about me, but like it's actually giving the knowledge piece to the game. So I'm excited about that.
man, I love it, man. And me being a former outfielder, man, you're right. I mean, it's very. I mean, you have your Gold Glovers, but and they get the love. But as far as like position of importance and drills and everything you see on YouTube is always pitching and a little bit of infield and then outfield is always, what I'm saying, no
I
love over
said
there.
I said it like this. I said the outfielder, the closest outfielder to me that makes the most money is Bryce Harper, right? Closest to me, meaning and where I live, is Bryce
Right,
Harper.
right.
Yeah, he can hit, no doubt about it. But he can play a pretty darn good outfield as well too. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I think
Mm-hmm.
people just forget that. It's like, look,
Mm-hmm.
like he would have been playing in the American League if he couldn't do some of the things he can do in
That's
the
true.
outfield.
That's
You
true.
know, so that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I was kidding with the guys this weekend. I had my showcase up in Waco, Texas this past weekend, and so I always mess with all my guys, and I said, listen, straight up, like, um, you know, where all my athletes at? And they were all everybody look around. I was like, outfielders first. Where all my athletes? I said, that's right, the number one athlete. Everybody, all the infielders, oh boo, coach, I'm an
Right.
outfielder. I was like, nah, I gotta take care of my outfielders, man. Them are the best athletes on the team. As an infielders, y'all kind of like second best, you know what I'm saying? But
Right, right.
pitchers are like, and so they always, care. But I love my outfielders. That's, to me, anyway, kudos to what you're doing out there with the defensive
Appreciate it.
and everything, man. So I'm gonna make this a last question, brother. Because we started late, man. I wanted to kind of get this And I thank you for being patient with me, man. But I want you to take us out after I say my little messages at the end. But let's get this last question in. All right. So, what's up, DB? What type of characteristics do you look for in the outfielder? I'm gonna leave that to you, brother.
Yeah, so don't really care about. I mean, it's great if you got a Bryce Harper type of arm, but like if you can run, you can get track down the ball, you can hit, you can do some things offensively. Like, hey, it's okay if you don't have the best arm. Look, I could always take you out of the game in the ninth inning when we got a runner on second and we got to hose them if the guy gets a hit. Like I'm all about making defensive changes late in the game because maybe we have a liability out there. That's cool. So I think sometimes guys want to be perfect where they have like those three tools. But I look for guys like who can get good jumps, get good routes, right, and not rely on makeup speed and say, hey, like yeah, you're fast, but you don't even know how to read the ball off the bat. So I look for guys who, like for Swathorne, like we have a Division I outfield, which is it's crazy. Like those guys can compete, right? So like my job when I came in, I was like, all right, let me just not mess them up and just teach them how to slow the game down a little bit, and not get internally, sped up there. So that's what I look for. I look for guys who know the game and study the game and apply it when the lights come on. So.
I love it, man. I love it. You know, Leona says great information, no doubt, man.
Thank
So,
you.
I want you to take us on out, all right, Dre. But let me again, so I appreciate Dre coming on here, man. I like to just showcase, young up and coming coaches. This guy will have his own program. I know he's, his saying, and I'm just taking care of where I'm at, and blah, 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 you know what I'm saying. But he will have his own program eventually. All right. So I can be like, hey, I remember when. Okay. But so remember, parents, I know some of you guys have private messaged me on the free webinar I'm having December 8th. So if you did not private message me, I promise you, parents, I will get that information out to you with the link and information for December 8th, 2 weeks from today, at 8 p.m. We'll be having that free webinar. So if you are listening in, you haven't heard that information, please write the term interested, or better yet, go to the fan page, D-Brown Baseball, and private message me with your email information, and I will give you that, give you access to that link when it happens. Tomorrow we'll be on 4 p.m. I'm trying to lock down. Got 2 or 3 possibilities. Let's see if I can kind of lock down one. My boy Dre came through today. I know on Monday I have Monroe Junior College Top 25 program up in New York. Shout out to Coach Villanueva, who will be on Coach Melinda, who will be on spoke with him today, and we will go the JC route, a little Northeast, top 25 New York flavor. Talk with him today. So he will be on Monday. And so hopefully I could kind of lock down somebody tomorrow and everybody enjoy their turkey day on Thursday. So remember to say if you're interested in that, and we'll kind of keep this moving. So Dre, man, appreciate you, young brother. Thank you for coming out here, man. Thank you for getting a chance to meet you, and hopefully we could kind of communicate behind the scenes, and I can help you guys with your program, help you with your business, what you got going on. Hopefully a couple of people will come out and reach out to you on the graveyard mentality, and stay in contact with each other, man. So thank you, Andre. Look at your email, send videos, okay? And so if you could, man, Dre, take us on out, man, with a great message for these parents, please.
Yeah, thanks, D. I appreciate what you're doing because like this is a huge platform for not only players but like also for me, because I found D just scrolling on Facebook and like I'm using it just to learn about other coaches and other programs that I have to then compete with. So again, like I said before, like when you can get something like this that's live where you can meet as many people as you can throughout the course of a week, it's a no-brainer, and that's why I wanted to come on, because like this is what the game is about. It's about meeting folks, networking with folks, and at the end of the day, trying to obtain knowledge. So thank you, D, and thank you all for being on here.
No doubt, man, and that's why I do it, man. And the people I've been able to meet, the parents, and the places that I've already gone because of this platform, it's been a blessing. I was in Waco, Texas this weekend. Waco, Texas. Never been to Waco in my life, all right? But all the relationships that I built on this platform. So appreciate you, Dre, man. Keep rocking and rolling, man. And you're doing a great job, man. 30 years old, 9 years already coaching experience. Lord, man, congrats, man. You're on your way, big dog. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. family, I will be on right before we hit this Thanksgiving holiday time, man. So 4 p.m. Eastern, I will see you guys. Dre, I appreciate you again, my dude. All right.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, parents. 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. All right. I look forward to talking with you guys tomorrow. Melody, I got your question, and I'll try to message you that answer. Okay. Love you guys. See you guys 4 p.m. tomorrow.